What is going on, everybody? It's the Pefromance, and we're here for our review for this episode of Monday Night Raw, the first of what is going to be a few, if many, inside the Pefromance Center. Now, the news coming into this episode of Monday Night Raw was the news we all waited to hear from WWE. When was this announcement going to happen? Were they going to postpone, or were they going to cancel WrestleMania as a whole? Now, if anybody knows Vince McMahon, that is never going to happen. Vince McMahon would have to be on his deathbed before WrestleMania was to be canceled. So, postpone, right? They wouldn't dare put WrestleMania in the Pefromance Center, would they? Raymond James Stadium will not be hosting WrestleMania. That was a given. But it was just a matter of when the announcement was going to be made. As WWE put in a statement today, in coordination with the local partners and government officials, WrestleMania and all related events in Tampa Bay will not take place. However, WrestleMania will still stream live on Sunday, April 5th at 7 p.m. on the WWE Network, and will be available on pay-per-view. Only essential personnel will be on the closed set at WWE's training facility in Orlando, Florida, to produce WrestleMania. So, WrestleMania will be in Orlando. So it's no longer WrestleMania, it is PC Mania, and it'll be PC Mania from here on out. It had to happen. It wasn't going to be any other way. This was just what happened to be. This show tonight was 1 hour and, 2 hours almost of the Men's Royal Rumble. Now, yes, the Men's Royal Rumble from 2020 lasted in full, from start to finish, an hour and 50 seconds. The fact that they stretched this out over the rest of the 8 o'clock hour and the entire 9 o'clock hour, and I believe they got into the 10 o'clock hour, was just ridiculous. A couple hours ago, before Raw, at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Wrestle Talk, a bunch of independent wrestlers, Will Ospreay, B. Priestley, David Starr, Rampage Brown, and many, many others, came together in the UK, wherever they did this at, and held a No Fans Monday event on YouTube for free. And anybody who super chatted to that event made all the proceeds for that event and the shirts that say support wrestling, support independent wrestling, screw coronavirus, was proceeds all went to the wrestlers who were in that show. That was awesome, and I didn't see all of it. I did see the final 2 matches. B. Priestley versus Will Ospreay, of course, was the main event, and those two went out there and gave you one hell of a show. But that show had no fans, and it was fantastic. They didn't have to go out there and say, hey, we're going to show you a bunch of wrestling from beforehand. We're going to go out there, we're going to give you 2+ hours of wrestling. These guys are going to go out there, these men and women are going to go out there, break their backs, hurt themselves, and put themselves in pain just to entertain you. You can't be there, and they made it work. WWE cannot seem to make this work. Last week on Friday was definitely more of a Triple H run show. Yes, they showed the Elimination Chamber, but you saw just the feel of it felt like a Vince McMahon show, a Triple H show. This one was Vince McMahon all the way. Of course, Vince McMahon is probably backstage at all these Performance Center shows now because the XFL, of course, is under suspended, just like everything else. So we had Edge kick off the show after King, Byron Saxton, and Tom Phillips addressed the beginning of the show. Edge came out immediately. He cut a promo on Randy Orton, telling us that the guy that he met 21 years ago, which I think doesn't line up with Randy Orton's promo from a couple weeks ago. This guy went out there, he cut a promo, and honestly, the crowd being gone for these promos, the last 2 times we've had good promos. We had some really good promos. Edge, for sure. Last week with John Cena and Bray Wyatt. Those were great promos. But this show was Edge cutting a promo, and then we had the Royal Rumble. They went from start to finish. Unlike the men's elimination chamber match, where the men's elimination chamber match, they cut spots out of it, so you didn't get the full elimination chamber match. This one, the match went an hour, but they stretched it because of commercial breaks. And unlike the elimination chamber, where if they came back, they would cut that out of the match. No. As soon as the match went to break, they came back and they might have cut maybe a second or two off, but this ended up stretching this thing way longer than it needed to be. The one positive about the Royal Rumble is when Edge made his return and made his big return to the Rumble and hit that spear on Dolph Ziggler, you actually got to see it instead of it being a crowd shot, which pissed a lot of people off, including myself. So we got that entire Royal Rumble match, the majority of this show. Then we had The Undertaker come out after that match, and he comes out. There's a table there, there's two chairs, we're going to have this contract signing. He comes out, his music's playing, and he's coming out. His long hair is tied into a long ass ponytail. He's got a skull cap on. He's got a toboggan on, or whatever, the skull cap or something. He's dressed to look like he's ready to wrestle, but he has his shirt portion of his attire down. He's just running to the ring, pissed as a motherfucker. He gets to the ring. He is pissed off. There's no contract. He flips the damn table, sending Jerry the King Lawler running away. We go to commercial break. We come back, and he is just pacing back and forth, wanting AJ Styles to come out here so he could kill this dude for pissing him off, which he did last week, of course, calling out his wife. They play AJ's music twice. No AJ Styles. Anyway, no AJ anyway. Then we cut to the back, and there's the OC with the contract. And AJ Styles is just vehemently attacking the character of The Undertaker, how much he should have just retired years ago, and how it's just one thing, and if it's one thing, it's another. And this he signs the contract, and then he tells Carol Anderson and Luke Gallows to take it out to him. He said, Anderson, you know what? I'm done. I signed this. Go take it to The Undertaker. And Anderson's like, I don't want to do that. He's like, hey man, you got me to talk to Gallows. He's like, no, I don't want to do that. Then AJ makes them both take it out. They come out to the Gallows and Anderson music. They stroll to the ring very, very slowly. They are so petrified of The Undertaker. They want nothing to do with this guy. So they put it on the apron. They threw it into the ring, and then they back up. It's like, okay, we did our job. Lights go down. Lights come back up, and The Undertaker is behind these two, and then he just murders them. He beats the fuck out of them, and then he signs the contract, and he takes the contract and he puts it in Carl Anderson's mouth. And that was that. He walks back up, and you see the visual of Undertaker staring down the enlarged head of AJ Styles as he's looking at the video screen. These matches are going to be happening at the Pefromance Center. Now, the Pefromance Center WrestleMania is going to be something that we're going to be wondering for a while. How are they going to do this? Because this is the second show in a row. The second show they have done at the Pefromance Center that they have littered with matches from a couple weeks ago or a month ago or two. How are they going to get through how are they going to get through all the matches they have set up for WrestleMania? Right now, at WrestleMania, they have a good bit of matches. How are they going to sit there and go, well, we have all these matches. Our show is going to be starting at 7 o'clock. I don't know what they're going to do. Because if they can't get through an episode of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown with these matches going on We have 8 matches right now at WrestleMania. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins, which was agreed upon tonight. AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. Randy Orton versus Edge. The Fiend versus John Cena. Shitbird versus Roman Reigns, which, honestly, that match is probably going to be the biggest benefit, is going to have the biggest benefit of being at the Performance Center with no crowd. Because if this entire panic didn't happen, this is not a pandemic, this is a panic-demic, but we're not going to get into that tonight. If this was going to happen at Raymond James Stadium in front of 80,000, 40,000, 60,000, whatever the thousand they have, these two would have walked out there with the way they've been setting this shit up, and the fact that we have a contract signing this coming Friday, these two would have been booed out of the building. That entire match would have been shit on so badly. The fact that they're going to be in the Performance Center 3 weeks from yesterday is probably the biggest benefit of this completely. Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch. I feel bad for Shayna Baszler. I also feel bad for Drew McIntyre because these two, and Rhea Ripley, these three right here, Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley, Drew McIntyre, are on the cusp of having a massive WrestleMania moment for all three. If all three of them went out there and won at Raymond James Stadium with 60,000 people watching them win their matches. And now they have to come to a close set and be just solid, like, away from all the talents. Now that's 8 matches right here. We have, of course, Rhea Ripley and Charlotte, Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. No more matches. If there is not a match for this WrestleMania card, there is no more. Now, if they went to Raymond James Stadium, they can do whatever they want. But this is a different time because everyone's in a panic, and the U.S. has stupidly, or dumbfuckingly, or whatever the fuck you want, the word you want to use, have made it so groups over 50, like groups, they can't be more than 10 people in anything. Then it just, I don't know. Now, the biggest problem with WrestleMania being there is that WrestleMania, for the most part, what the last spectacle part of WrestleMania is the crowd. The crowd makes WrestleMania great. Especially like last year when Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Stomped his head in 3 times and beat him at WrestleMania. The crowd went ballistic. You're not going to have that for Drew McIntyre claymoring Brock Lesnar. I just can't even think of what we could do now. It's like I just feel bad for those who are getting their first big WrestleMania match. And they're going out there and they're not going to get that spot that we hoped they would get. That, like, you know, what do I want to say? That big WrestleMania, like, this WrestleMania is going to be the forgotten WrestleMania. WrestleMania 20 is mostly forgotten because of who was in the main event. WWE almost never talks about that WrestleMania because of who was in the main event in that triple threat match. But this one, when we get to next year, we get to 6 weeks from now or so, this WrestleMania is going to be forgotten. Nobody's going to remember. No one's going to talk about this WrestleMania. Nobody's going to want to deal with this WrestleMania. This WrestleMania will be like it never existed. They also did show, before we got too far into this, that Becky Lynch made her arrival to the Pefromance Center in a pickup, in a Mack truck that was labeled, it was black with her face on each side with her hair flowing back. It said the man on the front of it. It said Last Kicker on a big, huge thing on the back. And that was how she got to the Performance Center, as she was to be here for a promo later in the night. So they went to the Royal Rumble again, which, yay, did not want to spend an hour watching the fucking Royal Rumble again. If I wanted to do that, I would pop on WWE Network and do that again. So let's see here. Let me try and get into these results here that's left. There was not much on here. We had one match. One live match. One match that was actually that wasn't something from a couple weeks ago or a month ago. We had, and lo and behold, it was Rey Mysterio versus Andrade. I know we're in this pandemic scare, this panicdemic, But could you please give me someone other than that? So these guys had a match. Mysterio lands a springboard head scissors. Vega tries to get involved, but Mysterio shrugs her off. Mysterio tries for a springboard, but Andrade meets him in midair with a dropkick. After the break, Mysterio sends Andrade into the ring. Seated senton, but Mysterio kicks Andrade in the head. Andrade kicks out. Mysterio drop toe hold Andrade into the rope. Mysterio sets up for the 619. Andrade cuts him off with a nasty spinning elbow. Andrade hits 2 of 3 amigos. Mysterio counters the last suplex into a Rana. Andrade ends up in the ropes. Mysterio hits 619, drops the dime, 1, 2, 3. By the way, during this match, Asuka was on commentary. Why? I don't know. Plus, why was Alexa Bliss or Nikki Cross not in the vicinity to beat her up after what she did and cost them the match on Friday? If you're going to have Asuka, like I said, 8 matches is fine. We don't need another match. But if you're going to have Asuka take out Alexa Bliss for what is supposed to be probably a tag team match between Asuka, Kairi Sane, and the Bliss and Cross, you should at least can follow it up. If that match has been nixed, then why the hell was she out here in the first place? I did not like it. I did not laugh. I didn't think it was funny. Asuka, I enjoy when she wrestles. I don't enjoy anything with her when it comes to speaking. It's the way they have her speak. They just have her yell in Japanese, and it's just annoying to me. Then we had Becky Lynch. She comes out. She says Shayna bullied her way to the top of NXT. Lynch knows that as long as she is the champ, Baszler knows the whole existence is a lie. Lynch is the prey that killed her predator. Lynch wants Baszler to think about what she's going to be like when Baszler loses to Lynch. Reality is going to hit Baszler like a truck at WrestleMania. We do see Baszler watching from backstage. Why did they not just have her come out and these two have a nice little brawl? Is the concrete still drying? Was Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano destroyed half of the PC? And then that was pretty much it. Just an okay promo from Becky Lynch. I know they're still trying to make her like the Conor McGregor type person. It's just not working. Kevin Owens backstage. He says, I know you've been waiting for weeks on my answer, and I'm going to give you one. Remember, a couple weeks ago, Seth Rollins gave a challenge to Mr. Kevin Owens. Anytime, any place, anywhere, any stipulation. Kevin Owens accepted this challenge, said it was going to be here at the PC because he has a home field advantage. He earned his stripes here in the PC. Seth Rollins didn't earn his stripes in the PC. Seth Rollins was up on the WWE main roster by the time the PC started doing what the PC's doing. Yes, he was in NXT for a little bit. And yes, he was the first ever NXT champion. But Seth Rollins is more known as a Monday Night Raw guy than a guy from the PC. Kevin Owens came from the Indies, but he came to the PC. There were people telling him stories that he didn't belong there, and Seth Rollins was one of those guys to tell him that. He had his hardest experience here in the PC, and he's going to show him that this is his house. I was hoping they would say like a cage match or something, because during the Edge promo, Edge challenged Randy Orton to a match at WrestleMania in a last man standing match. So the PC within a month is going to be destroyed twice. I hope WWE has enough money from left over to foot the bill for another destroyed PC. So then we had our final segment, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He comes out. He's doing his thing around the ring, which makes no sense because there's no crowd. By the way, WWE, here's something you could do to get rid of that eerie feeling that something's not right here. Put the fucking chairs away. There should be no chairs in the PC for these matches, unless you're going to have crowds out there, unless you're going to have PC people out there participating, then get these chairs put away. You could have, if they wanted to, you could have 10 PC people on side. There was enough room there that you could spread them out enough to where they would be distanced enough away from each other so you could have yourself a small crowd. It's not that fucking hard. You could have PC people there, and it's you can do what you want. I believe they lease the PC. I don't think they actually own the PC. Which, by the way, WWE making an event, Triple H getting the Performance Center done was a great investment all these years later. It was a great investment for him. But he gets a bunch of beer, he smacks them, he blows himself up. He said he blew himself up in his entrance. He asked the crowd to give him a hell yeah. There is no one. Saxton's here to say Austin a hell yeah. So he participates along with this. Austin does the whole entire, like, what the day 316 means. I walked out of the room and, like, I can't deal with this. I don't even give a shit. He then eventually calls him to the ring, gives him a beer, poses a toast, they drink some beer, calls him a grade A jackass, and then gets hit with a stunner. I don't think that's going to be all. He gets a couple more beers, but then out comes Becky Lynch. And as he mentioned, and I was glad that they did this, because the last time Becky Lynch was in the same ring as Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was straight up Steve Austin, she hit him with a Stone Cold Stunner. And he was skeptical that she was going to do the same thing to him again. She did not, but I could see why he would be skeptical, because he let his guard down on his own TV, on his own USA show, and he paid for it with a Stone Cold Stunner. They drink a couple more beers, Byron Saxton gets brought up again, and gets hit with another stunner, and that was that. This Monday Night Raw, if you were going to do clip shows, because they did show a couple clips for Austin on this night, you could have did this from Stamford, Connecticut. You could have did this from a room in the Performance Center. You did not need to be in the ring. You could have showed the Royal Rumble. You could have had Edge in a solid room doing some kind of promo. You could have had the whole Austin promo, the Becky Lynch promo, the Undertaker and AJ Styles things you could have did differently. But no, you had us go through 3 hours of Monday Night Raw with the majority of it being a Royal Rumble. This was just a waste of time. There was no reason to have this show tonight. None at all. I know WWE wants to keep the thing going, but if you're not going to produce us a full 3 hours, I know people don't want to see this, but unless you're going to produce us a full 3 hours of wrestling on this show, you could do some fucking in-ring segments where you have somebody doing promos, when you're having people do promos. It's not that fucking hard. But just having us sit there and seeing a match that we've seen before. What are they going to do next week? Next week they're going to be from the Performance Center. They've already wasted the Royal Rumble. Are they going to show the Women's Elimination Chamber? That went 21 minutes. You'll be able to stretch that to at least a half an hour with commercials, but that's it. What are you going to do for the rest of the show? And what happens with the Hall of Fame? That's something I want to know too. What are you going to do with the Hall of Fame? I mean, you could do some kind of Hall of Fame thing. You can still do the Hall of Fame if they wanted to. TakeOver's out of the question, though. TakeOver's not going to be done, which sucks for NXT. You had all these storylines being built up. I'm sure they'll do matches. A lot of those matches that they were going to do at the TakeOver are probably going to have to be done on NXT. But I don't know what they're going to do. What are they going to do for NXT? What are they going to do for SmackDown? SmackDown already blew through their longest match from the Elimination Chamber. Are we going to get what are they going to do? Are we going to get a Royal Rumble where a SmackDown star won the Royal Rumble match? What are they going to do? This is not a temporary thing where they're going to only have to do this for like a week or two. They're going to have to do this for a lot longer. Until this stuff finally blows over, and it's going to eventually. What are they going to do? There's nothing. If they continue to go on with this, they're going to run out of things to do. Just give us matches, take the chairs and remove them. If you really want to make WrestleMania special and make it feel different, take the chairs out, Build, like, that's what I would do. I would make the Performance Center on April 5th look like a fucking pirate ship. I would have the entire Performance Center wrestling area decked out as if they're wrestling on the deck of a pirate ship. AEW did a wrestling event on an actual boat. Why not do a pirate ship? You had this whole WrestleMania pirate ship thing for WrestleMania 36. Why not make the Performance Center look like a boat? Make it look like you're fighting, like you're wrestling for the captain, like wrestling for the captain's entertainment. You could have King Corbin set up on top of a throne at whatever they want to do, and have him be like the king or something. You could do this up, like you had all this stuff, and it sucks. I would love to see what they were going to do for WrestleMania 36 in Raymond James Stadium with their theme for this year with a pirate theme. Unfortunately, Mass Hysteria happened, and what can we do now? We have to just sit here, wait, watch, and see what happens, because WWE is going to keep going. I wonder what AEW is going to do on Wednesday, because they're going to be in a closed set too. No crowd, no fans, and they're still going to chug along with Blood and Guts. The week before Blood and Guts. The difference between AEW and WWE is they don't have much footage to use. They don't have 60 plus years of archive footage that they could throw onto a Monday Night Raw, or 20 plus years of Raw exactly, or 20 years of SmackDown to go back to. So it's going to be interesting what they happens. I know we still have one episode of AEW Dark. I don't think they're going to do AEW Dark in a closed arena. I don't think they're going to do that. So to those who are watching AEW Dark, or like an AEW Dark watcher, enjoy this week's episode, because it's probably going to be the last for a good while. It's a damn shame that wrestling and like the world has come to this. And wrestling is just the way those guys over in the UK did it. They did a hell of a job with the quarantining and just, going out there and giving you good wrestling. I only got to see 2 matches, and the one, of course, I saw was Bea Priestley versus Will Ospreay, boyfriend versus girlfriend. And Will Ospreay putting his girlfriend over and just building her up was honestly one of the best moments I think I've seen this year so far for professional wrestling. I'm hoping we see more of those. I hope like Joe Janela or somebody. AEW needs to help out, because they're going to do it. WWE will never do it. AEW needs to, I hope they would do this, is that have like a guy like Joe Janela in an arena that this can happen. Having like a small gymnasium. I don't care if it's a gymnasium. Hell, we have a gymnasium probably at our school back here that doesn't have anybody used. If you can set up and ring it there, you guys can use it probably. Just have to talk to the people who own it if it's still there. But like, just find a gymnasium if you have to. Get a couple indie stars around there, streaming on the All Elite Wrestling YouTube channel, and people who are able to can help them out by, by donating, super chatting, and you can like have shirts to sell and everything, and it will be a lot better than just having independent wrestling, because independent wrestling is taking the hardest of this all. WWE could have closed up shop for the next 6 months and been fine. They would just have to do a lot cultivating to get back there. But WrestleMania, out of Raymond James Stadium, I think WWE should have postponed. I don't think just like, we're going to do it on April 5th is a good idea. Not because this pandemic thing is legit. People are just like not realizing how bad this is, because it's not as bad as they want it to make it out to be. But trust me, anybody who thinks this pandemic is actually bad, tell that to the 20,000 people who died from the flu in the last 2 months, or last 3 months or so. Tell that to the people who have died since October, to the 50,000 who have died in the last 5 months from the flu. How it's as bad as the flu. The only reason you should panic about this is if you start hearing 100,000 people died last night That's not going to happen. So, to anybody, if you're sick, stay home, get better, then go out and do whatever the hell you want. Fuck the man. Fuck the people out there trying to cause hysteria. I wish Monday Night Raw and SmackDown could have, and SmackDown and NXT and AEW could have some fans out there. I don't care if it's family members. I don't care if it's people like in WWE's case. I don't care if it's the Pefromance Center trainees. If you want to have 20 people there on all sides and just spread them out to where they sit down and they just sit there and cheer, having a little bit of fans would have been way better tonight than it was without those fans. It just sucks. It just really, really sucks. This is going to be interesting how WWE does this because think about it. They went through SmackDown and gave us one previous match that we saw that lasted a good portion of the show, but they still had a good bit of the show left to do. Tonight, two-thirds of the show were taken up by one match. And then they had the Edge promo. He challenged Randy Orton. That match is going to happen. Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar are all going to be on the show next week. I think Brock Lesnar is going to open the show. Paul Heyman's going to talk for a bit, and then Brock Lesnar is going to skedaddle out of here. What they do after that, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get Brock Lesnar to want to come to the PC in August. In April, on April 5th, to defend the WWE Championship. That guy would probably just want to go back home and hunt. I don't know what we could do. The WWE is in a tough spot. Anybody shitting on the WWE for moving to the Pefromance Center and not keeping in Tampa Bay, they had no choice. It was not their call. They were going to be kicked out of Raymond James Stadium whether they wanted to or not. This was the best case. I guess this isn't the best case scenario, but if this is the best case scenario, we're wanting to get it done now. Having WrestleMania go off on April 5th. They have it scheduled for April 5th. They have the few pay-per-view partners they still have, having it scheduled for April 5th. Why would WWE go out of their way to say, nope, we're not going to do that? I know people would realize, yes, WWE postponing would make sense, but it's not like a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown. Just like AEW is supposed to be at Rochester this week, that's not going to happen. They're going to be in Rochester later this year. Like a simple Raw, SmackDown, NXT show, AEW show, any show like that, they can postpone. But like a pay-per-view is a pay-per-view. It's going to be harder for the pay-per-view to get postponed and then be done again later. Especially when you have, especially in WWE's case with WrestleMania being in 3 weeks. 2 weeks from Sunday, 3 weeks from yesterday. How can WWE sit there and be like, yeah, we're just going to stop doing, we're not going to do the pay-per-view this time. We're going to postpone it till August or September. It's just not going to happen. Why would WWE go out of the way to invest all that money, all that time, all that money into this show and then be like, well, we're just going to postpone it? It's not going to happen for them. So yes, the PC Mania should be interesting what happens. We'll have to wait and see. Just Monday Night Raw again. If they wanted to do this show, it might as well have just been a sit down PC show, a sit down show like they did 5 years ago. The night after the Royal Rumble in 2015, when Roman Reigns won, the next night they were snowed out. They were forced to be in Stamford, Connecticut, Titan Towers, or wherever they were at. They were forced to go and do a Monday Night Raw from inside Titan Towers or wherever they were at and just talk. They talked. They showed the Royal Rumble match again, which they did tonight, and then everything went back to business the next week. That's not going to happen this time. That's not going to happen. So I just can't tell you what to. I can't explain how this is going to work. This show, like next week on Raw, they had Saturday, Sunday in the day to get this to where we could have had a show where you have a couple matches and they go out there and they give you a show. Having Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, I'm so sick and tired of this. I am so sick and tired of seeing the same thing. So, Monday Night Raw, it's a show. It was a show. I can't say anything else, but I'm just over here blabbing, trying to extend this so I can just get things out of my head. I don't know what else to say. There wasn't anything on this show worth being around. The Edge promo was fantastic. It was the best part of the show. Stone Cold made a fool of himself. He had no business. There was no reason to even do this 316-day bullshit. And the rest of the show was just that. And a Royal Rumble, a bunch of promos, one match, and that was that. A waste of a time. And it's going to be like this. I don't know how they're going to get through WrestleMania. I don't. Unless something's lifted by here and there, it says that they can have a small crowd of 50. A small count of 50. If you put 50 people in the Pefromance Center, that will make WrestleMania, PC Mania feel a lot better. Having the music go out there, people reacting, the matches happen, and people reacting, that needs to happen. There's, especially with, if it's the, and here's the thing, it's the PC. Nobody's going to be pissed at WWE if you put 10 or 15 or 20 people out in the crowd, space them out enough to where they're not touching each other, and have them have some kind of crowd. You don't have to do a small space. Let me see here. Nothing. Getting alerts on my phone. Just WWE. It's gonna be a burden for everybody. And what is WWE? What is the world gonna do when when businesses are shut down and nobody's making money and the economy crashes? We'll have to wait and see. I'm not getting into that here. Just buckle up, people. If you don't want to watch Monday Night Raw, I don't blame you. There was nothing on the show worth watching. If they put the entire Edge promo on the WWE's YouTube page, check it out there. That was a fantastic promo. That was great. That was the best part. Undertaker was pacing around. He did look like he had a little bit of a limp because his knees are bad. Becky Lynch, don't really care for her much anymore. Her being the Raw Women's Champion for this long, it's kind of waned because how badly they booked her. You can book a full-time champion for a year almost if you book them right. They haven't booked her right since she won the title. Becky has not looked like a good champion since she won the title. So, yeah. I'm getting out of here. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video, find me on Twitter at The France Club, find me at Instagram at The France Club, and I will see you guys Wednesday to see what AEW does for their road to Blood and Guts, as they are 1 week away from that, and hopefully we'll have ourselves a much better time at their 2 hours than SmackDown and Raw did at 5 hours. But until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.